Leave that.
All I know is this violates every canon of respectable broadcasting.
How are you?
Hey, who wants to help me get this recorder out of here? I need some muscle over here.
You are listening to Blame Your Brother.
Hello. Welcome, Internet, to Blame Your Brother. This is episode 191. As we get closer and closer to episode 200, we are very excited about that. And we are here every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on the Internet, streaming just for you. We are Blame Your Brother. There are three of us that come to you every week. I am one third of that trio. I am David, a.k.a. D. Brew, voice of the people, Mr. 40%, Glenn Jackson. And I am joined by this dude. It's sitting over to the left of me tonight on the Zoom. It is my brother. It is Lee.
What's up, everyone? It is the Saul of podcasting, the one and only LeBron Safety Pin.
There you go. And then below me tonight, it is the man himself. It is our good friend, John.
Everybody, John here, a.k.a. Tico, a.k.a. Mr. Groupon, Mr. PTI, the Madman.
They got John Tortorella, a madman.
They do have a madman.
Okay, he's a madman.
All right. We got a good chat going tonight. We got Jeffrey Tortorello, Rena Bills. We got Jason Steen, our guy there, Robin. Everybody's piling in. So thank you guys so much for showing up and hanging out with us. We're going to try to entertain you tonight. Got a lot of cool things to talk about, but I think we just need to get to it. We've got, things to get off our chest. At the beginning of each show, apologies, retractions, omissions, a chance for us to undo the wrong that has been done on this show, which is, that could be a whole show to itself. But anyway, I will start tonight. Now, last week, I apologized for something. It was the origin of COVID-19. I had said 2 episodes ago that it was not proven it was in China, and J-Rob, fan of the show, was quick to let me know that I was wrong. Well, I'm doing a retraction to that apology because I was right. A new study come out today from Live Science that verifies they do not actually know where the COVID-19 originated from. So boom, I'm right. As usual, in your face, all the internet. I was right. You were wrong. They don't know where it came from. It's not proven it come from the wet markets and all this right-wing rhetoric you hear. So I was right. Everyone else was wrong. I just want to get it off my chest. Lee, what do you need to apologize for?
How did we not know that David's apology was going to be retracted? The instant the sound came out of his mouth and he started to utter the I apologize, we should have just stopped him and said, no, David, there's no need to apologize. Please don't tarnish your good name. You're correct. Stand on your pedestal. Be proud.
I am. So what do you have to apologize for?
Well, evidently, I don't know my Muppets very well. I was a very small child when Fraggle Rock came out. Yes, I was enamored by the trash heap, this sentient trash heap that was revered as a god. Had a name.
I am his friend.
Had a name. I, had to go Google it before the show. And it's Marjorie, I guess. I don't know. Evidently, I called the trash heap male. I assumed its gender. That was wrong. Not the first time I've done it in my life, but I did. So, someone had to call me out on Twitter. Coming in from Hazel Sunshine. Now, see,
Tasha.
I just stuck with the Muppet Show. If we're tossing other Jim Henson creations in, my list would change drastically. Also, the trash heap is a lady. So there you go.
You called a dude.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't mean to steer everyone along. I caught so much crap for having a crappy Muppet list, and then I get called out on Twitter. It was a really low week for me. I'm not doing well mentally, so thanks, everyone. I appreciate that. That's all
I mean, on that note, Lee, if you have to Google the name of the Muppet that you want to put on the Mount Rushmore, then maybe, just maybe, they don't deserve to be on the Mount Rushmore.
I thought it was just the trash heap. I just thought it was the trash heap.
As the church lady would say, isn't that interesting? All right.
Listen. I really like Fraggle Rock. I felt like Fraggle Rock needed some representation on the monument, and the trash heap is what I go to when I think Fraggle Rock. I know you guys want to put just the Muppets straight down the line: Kermit, Miss Piggy, Fonzie, Alfredo, whoever.
That's Happy Days.
Hey.
I mean, the trash heap isn't even the coolest person on Fraggle Rock. You could have gone with the Dozers as a whole. I mean, they were much cooler than the trash heap that wasn't even on every week.
You had your pick, man. You had your pick.
To be fair, River, longtime supporter of the show, financial backer, said that Marjorie is a goddess. So he did agree with Lee's pick. It just Lee didn't know if it was a male or female. So
why do we have to? I mean, obviously they put gender on the trash heap. Does a trash heap deserve to have a gender? I don't know. I thought we were all woke. Are we not woke?
Brother, it was designed to be a female. So you have to talk to the creators of the show. All right. Anything else you got wrong last week that you remember?
Me?
Yeah, you.
No.
Okay. John, anything?
Nothing I can remember.
All right. Well, there we go. We got past that. So now
I'm sorry. There's
slow down.
There's
John.
one thing.
Slow down.
There's one thing.
Now we talked last week about a movie called A Knight's Tale. Very interesting film about what was the man's name? Heath Ledger as a knight. And you proclaimed on this program
I did.
that it was a sports movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was the only one that said, you're crazy. So we took to the interwebs to settle the debate. Lee, do you want to go ahead and pull that poll up for us where we can just see what the people of social media thought about such an absurd statement as A Knight's Tale is a sports movie. It is. You've said many crazy things on the show, John. This is in the top 10. That A Knight's Tale, yes.
Not even close.
What's your? Do you have a top 10 then?
I mean, first of all, number one has to be put him in a fat suit. It's got to be number one.
Okay, yes, that is definitely a hard stance. Yes. Okay, who cares? I don't want
a lot of crazy stuff.
I don't want your top 10. All right, so we had 34 people vote. Pretty good amount of people. 53% said no. 40% said yes. If this was a presidential election, your candidate lost, John. Sorry,
I will say early on, of course, was like trending like 75% of the votes said yes. And then at the last minute, something weird happened. I don't know if you went on Fiverr,
David
had
made
some
up a
Russian
bunch of fake accounts and voted against it.
Do you have some Russian propaganda?
Are you two alleging like a Russian collusion here? Is
We're
that
just
really
asking.
where you're sitting?
We're just inquiring. I don't know.
Oh,
we would like to know, did you run a
odd.
Facebook ad? What's going on?
That is one version of it. The other version is I watched it throughout the day, and of course the options were of course and hell no. Of course was winning for like an hour, and then it was defeated at that point. So from the chat, Jeffrey Torello says the biggest mistake of all time was having Maybelle Carter on the African-American Mount Rushmore Hall of Fame. But anyway, we're going to move past that. So
I had one more apology.
Oh.
I was in a fit of rage last week. I made fun of John's backdrop. I obviously should not have done that.
Okay.
It's only gotten better this week. So
I don't think it's gotten better, but anyway,
I apologize, John.
It looks to say, what is behind you, John, for the podcast listeners?
It's a goddess. It's a goddess trap
old
heap.
Pillowcase of Bozo the Clown and some of his other characters, the side characters that was on that show.
Can you imagine the nightmare you're living if you're sleeping on that thing every night, waking up to freaking Bozo the Clown first thing you see in the morning? Oh, that's weird. All right, well, we got the polls out of the way. A lot of people did enjoy the Muppet Mount Rushmore, and it was, everyone got some votes for who's the best. I would say I got the most according to an Instagram poll, but we're going to move past that. We know I won. So we're going to say I won. All right. So now we're going to talk about this past week.
What does that mean?
And it was
won. What did you win? What exactly did you win?
Just life. All right. So this past weekend was Memorial Day. And I want to clarify something because I had seen someone John's wife, put in a Instagram post, and many other people, but happy Memorial Day. And I got woke on Twitter this past week that you should never say happy Memorial Day because it is a day to honor the dead. So if you're out there saying happy Memorial Day, it's being used incorrectly. So
what should we say?
Just Memorial Day.
Just walk up to someone and just say Memorial Day and point your finger at them.
I mean, I don't think
that's
really
so socially awkward.
I mean, why would
Memorial
you say that
Day.
to someone? What's the sentence where you're using that?
I think for most people, it's just a 3-day vacation. They don't even know what the holiday celebrates or not, you know? If we're just being real.
Okay. Well, anyway, so it was a 3-day weekend. So I guess we'll get into what did you guys?
I don't know. What did you do? Did you dress up in sackcloth and pour ashes on yourself?
No, I did not.
Weep?
I said I got woke.
Did you weep?
Robin said I'm called out over that. Okay, so I actually took a road trip. I was going to go, the family and me were going to go to the Tennessee Safari Park. Are you familiar with this at all? I've been there before.
Just like
Last
the
time I
dinosaur
went,
one or
an
whatever?
Sounds like a glorified zoo.
Yes, an ostrich bit my hand, and it's my mortal enemy now. So we decided to go back, something to do. It's a couple hours away. We get there. The line to get into the park was like 2 miles long. So that was a no-go. So instead, we were talking about Grateful Dead before this started. We went to Casey Jones Museum retail shop. Have you ever been to this place? It's right off the interstate.
Never.
It's got a train caboose, it's a little retail shop, blah, blah, blah. So we went there and, were people wearing their masks? Of course not. Not in this part of where we were at. And so they had a hotel there, and when the last time we went, you could stay in a caboose outside the hotel, and it had like a bed and air conditioning.
Legit.
The place is run down now, and as we drove by, it looked like there were crackheads just hanging out. So yeah, we kind of sped past that. So
okay, well, I've got to ask you a question. You're talking about people wearing masks. Actually, I had someone approach me this weekend about your visit to the Casey Jones Museum, and they said that you posted pictures on social media and you nor your children were wearing masks. Is that true or false?
True.
You were not.
No, I was not wearing a mask.
So you just went on a rant about people not wearing masks, and you yourselves were in the masses not wearing a mask.
Well, number one, we were in a church. We were the only people in the church. So that number one.
Exceptions for you. Okay, we already got the first exception.
Number two, my daughter, who's not even 2, does not have to wear a mask. Anyone 3 and under does not have to wear one, according to the guidelines set forth.
Right. So you counting yourself in that boat?
No, I mean, I'm just saying.
You're literally sitting here trying to justify this right now.
I don't wear a mask at the house. I mean,
you just sold out everyone for not wearing a mask.
To be fair.
And then you took a picture of it and posted it on social media. Like, I feel like if you're gonna be holier than thou, at least don't take the picture.
Well, no,
and back yourself into a corner with it.
Okay, do you wear one when you go out for a walk?
You're assuming a lot that I go on a walk, first off.
But when your friends came over, you weren't wearing a mask, right?
I'm not sitting here preaching about wearing the mask.
Oh, really? So you weren't the guy roasting John into oblivion for going to Home Depot?
When I go to Home Depot, I wear a mask.
Huh. Interesting.
10 out of 10 times.
Anyway, we took my wife's vehicle.
My wife,
and she didn't have the mask. I've got masks in my car.
Just,
now, I did go to the orthodontist.
Backpedaling, constant excuses.
So I went to the orthodontist, and me and my son wore masks, and we were the only ones wearing them in the entire waiting room, which was a little bit
Give yourself
odd,
a pat on the back real quick.
I'm doing my part.
Well, you're doing your part. Just not at the Casey's. Not when I'm hanging out with the crackheads.
Yeah, I wasn't hanging out with them, thank God.
Jones
Yeah,
Museum.
I was definitely social distancing for sure. So
yeah, well,
but that was about it. And then I had a cookout. That was it. That's what I did. What about you guys, Lee? What'd you do?
I pretty much didn't do anything, I guess, but cook out. That's so exciting. I know. I was too busy celebrating. Not celebrating. I'm still looking for the right word. Memorial Day.
Interesting. Celebrating the dead soldiers. Okay, that's interesting. All right.
Weeping.
Yeah,
Weeping.
Sure you were.
I lit a
John,
candle.
Did you do anything?
As I was solemnly reflecting on the sacrifices of those that came before me, we grilled out. We had hamburgers, hot dogs, and corn on the cob.
Very good. So it was basically a cookout event. Yeah, you're right. I mean, if I don't have any relatives that have died serving the country, thank God. I've had relatives that were in the military, but I've never had any that died. So, I imagine it hits a lot closer if you had a relative or a loved one or a friend that died, fighting for the country. It is. It's a lazy holiday for most Americans. Straight up, let's call it what it is. But it was a good holiday. So, all that being said. All right. Well, we got some stuff going on in the world today, which we definitely need to get to. Let me talk about Trump for a little bit.
Go boy.
Now, have you guys been paying attention to the week he's been having? I mean,
Try not to.
There's a lot of golf talk.
Well, first off, he is roasting Joe Biden for wearing a mask, saying he looks. Well, he roasted him for wearing it, and then he roasted him on Twitter, saying he looks better with a mask on. That was literally a tweet he sent out. Now, this is the president of the United States of America sending this stuff out. All right, so that was the first one. The second one is I guess he's decided he doesn't like Twitter anymore, even though the man.
Well, because Twitter flagged his tweet.
Yes, so he sent out a tweet that was factually
wrong. I'm going to put it up on the screen
about mail-in ballots, and Twitter said we can't let this go. This is too much. So they put a little note on there, and it said, if you want actual information or whatever about, I could give you
the exact
get the
quote.
facts
basically
about
saying, mail-in ballots is what it says.
Yeah. So basically,
letters.
click this for more information about. So that hurt Don's feelings. Don was hurt like a little child. He got hurt, So he decided he's going to get legislation passed now that would essentially allow Twitter or any social media. He doesn't like Facebook either, even though it helped him pretty much win the election. He wants them to be held civilly responsible for any misinformation that is shared on the platform. He's trying to get this passed into legislation, which would essentially shut down all social media.
I heard he signed an executive order today for the, basically kicking that off. I also heard something say that he was blaming Fox News for not promoting his campaign enough.
Really?
Yeah, that could just be a headline. That sounds kind of crazy, though. He feels that way, I'm sure.
This guy is a clown. Okay, so remember when everyone was looking for their financial, package for when this COVID-19 hit. This got delayed for weeks at a time, and then it got delayed even further when this moron decided that he wanted his signature on all the checks to go out. Now, held this up. You imagine you're out of work. You have no money coming in. You're waiting on Bozo the clown to sign the check, which is...
I know, that's an insult to Bozo.
That's true. I do apologize to Bozo for that one. His signature looks like he's had a stroke when he's signing it anyway. But Twitter hurt his feelings. They hurt the big man's feelings, and now he's trying to get this legislation passed in like 2 days. This is asinine. This is absurdly crazy, dude. I tweeted out today, imagine the shittiest boss you've ever had, the worst boss you've ever had, who made your life a living hell to go into work every day. We've all had that boss. It's some job I can imagine most of us have. That's our boss right now. He is a moron. He is a nitwit. He is an imbecile. He is a doofus. He's a moronic, idiot, sophomoric, man-child, whatever you want to call it. This guy has to. I'm begging people right now.
How does he get away with it? How does he get away with this? If this was anyone
I'm begging
else,
people. I'm begging you. I'm honestly, I'm begging you right now. And I don't care if you're right, left. Do not vote for this guy in November. Please do not vote for this guy. Vote for Biden. Even if you don't like Biden, if you think he's the worst guy, he's, at least he's a lesser version of Trump. You would have to agree with that on some level. Tell me I'm wrong right now.
I have been beating that drum since day one, and you were on this show going, give the man a chance, give the man a chance. And I'm like, okay, you're probably right. I probably should give the man a chance. But like, how many chances do you give someone? This man was making mistakes before he was even president. He was running his platform on my dick is bigger than yours. Where did you think that his presidency was going to go at that point? Do you think once he was president, it was just going to be all smooth sailing? No, there was red flags and warning signs from back when, I don't know, probably when he was a child, for that matter, as far as you want to go back. Okay.
Probably, yeah.
He was sitting there talking about the 400-pound hacker taking down I mean, I'm going to get my son. I'm going to get my son on the IT.
It was funny because we did not think he was actually going to win. Do you understand? It was comedy because it was so absurd. It was like the worst version of any television show. We're just like, this is the stupidest show ever. Like, this guy would never be president. And then we're like, oh wait, shit, it actually happened.
And I mean, I feel like when you vote for Biden, you're pretty much voting for the vice president, right? I mean, we're all in agreement on that one. That man is a ticking time bomb, right?
Yes.
Like, okay, here's the thing. Do you want a president who's psychotic or just dementia rattled? Like, where is the line here? Like, where?
Well, Reagan was already president, brother. We survived one dementia president. We can survive another one. Okay.
I don't know. It's just like, is third party viable? That's a conversation I had with someone this week.
Okay. Half Pint saying we're not getting this right, so I'm going to bring up the news story and just kind of clarify what's going on in the chat. He said,
okay. It's specifically about the executive order against social media.
This isn't midday 180 or whatever. We don't call people. Okay. President Trump on Thursday signed an executive order that could open the door for the U.S. government to assume oversight of political speech on the internet. A great idea right there. The new directive seeks to change a federal law that has spared tech companies from being sued or held liable for most posts, photos, and videos shared by users on their sites. Trump has repeatedly argued that they allow Facebook, Google, and Twitter to censor conservatives, even though this guy is like one of the biggest users of it and uses it more than anyone. And he says, his quote, "We're here to defend free speech from one of the greatest dangers." So basically the government would have the right
to censor.
Yes.
But he's anti-censorship with
that ends great.
Using censorship.
Where else is this done?
He is like the biggest benefactor of these social medias being able to post whatever they want about politics. The man has no brain cells. The people, like, he hires smart people and then turns around and immediately fires them and puts in stupid people. Like,
so how about saying they do censor conservatives? I mean, if you're calling Alex Jones a conservative, then yes, they need to censor people that are number one, it's a private company last time I checked. And the same people that are out here saying they don't have to wear the mask because, their body, their choice. Isn't that the same argument they made against other people using it against them? I'm done with it, dude. I'm done with this guy. I wake up now like angry about it when I read about it. I'm angry that this guy could be in charge of this country.
Take a deep breath, man. Take a deep breath.
It pisses me off. Like, I wake up and I'm like seeing red when I think about this guy being in charge of the free world we live in, and he thinks this is a good idea. He thinks Fox News is a good idea, though. So, I mean, it's not far-fetched. John, what do you think? I mean...
yeah, I mean, this is the first time I heard this story, but, I mean, he's kind of biting the hand that feeds him, first of all. I mean, that seems to be his bread and butter since the day one. And the thing is, he reminds me of one of my nephews. Whenever you play a game with him, if you start winning, he starts whining and complaining, and then you're cheating, and it's not any fun to play with him. So I mean, that's Trump. And since now he's in a position where he can change the rules on the spot.
Can we find any positives with
I
the
want
Trump
to ask
presidency?
John a straight question, because we asked you at the last election. We said Hillary or Trump if you had to vote, right? You have to vote tomorrow. Trump or Biden, who would you pull the ballot for? You already know.
Now, yeah, right now, Biden.
Biden, okay.
Okay, if you could go back in time and change your vote to Hillary or Trump, who would you pick now in hindsight?
I would keep my vote the way it was.
You would keep it with Trump?
I never voted for Trump.
Okay.
If you're asking me if I could go back in time, and I have, you remember that movie? It had Kevin Costner, I believe, in it. It was like he had the last vote to decide, who would be president. It'd be Hillary every day, twice on Sunday.
Some people believe that Hillary would be just as bad, if not worse. I don't see how that would be possible.
No. Let's clarify something here. She may be as bad. There's no way she could be as worse. And as much as all the people you think you hated Obama, this guy is sending out a message to youth, kids, and everything that this is a proper way to behave. You liberal snowflakes, words don't matter. Yeah, words do matter though, but they do. Like they do, there's kids that have killed themselves because they get bullied at school all the time. This is the message we're sending out. Like Lisa, just attack people, just make fun of them, and you'll be rewarded for it. It's crazy. It's crazy that this is the world we live in. I know, man.
That is the positive for me for the Trump presidency, is that we got to watch David grow up before our very eyes. This probably wouldn't have happened if he wouldn't woke up every morning seeing red. But he literally just said that snowflakes are people too, and it's very touching. It warms my heart. It gives me hope for America that if
they just have to live to be 43 and have a buffoon be president. But to be fair, when we were in the band and Bush had his second term, I was a hardcore anti-Busher, man. I wrote a song about it. I was a hardcore. I was on the Kerry bandwagon. So
you were on the Kerry bandwagon.
I would take Bush back right now, please.
I think everyone would take Bush back at this point.
He's painting himself nude in the bathtub. Whatever he's doing, put him back in. I don't care. I don't care if the guy's an idiot. Okay. Martin says Hillary would be worse. I don't.
I mean, that's a lot of conservative people really believe that Hillary is like evil. They believe in like Bill Gates is literally trying to stab you with a vaccine to microchip you. Like that level of insanity. They believe like a pizza place that doesn't even have a basement is running a kid pedo ring out of the basement. It like gets super wacky. Would you say would you say left wing goes as deep as right wing, like as crazy factor?
I think the level of the people you're talking about are people that are way, way, way right wing. And I agree with you. They're nuts. And just like there's people that are way, way, way right wing, there's people that are way, way left, and they're just as nuts. But I mean, for people who are, I consider myself fairly normal, and I also consider myself conservative, but I'm not about all that crazy stuff that, talking about the Chinese government created coronavirus to thin the herd. I'm not one of those people.
The latest thing
was say that conservatives are
saying
all those things is not accurate.
Coronavirus was created to hurt the election for Donald Trump is the latest thing I heard.
Oh, I heard that from my conservative friend Jeff, who called me.
What is that? Like literally who created a global pandemic just to make Donald Trump look bad for an election? Like what point does that come across as sensical? And then Donald Trump was retweeting today the guy that was saying the only good Democrat is a dead Democrat. Now you're saying words matter. Like this is the president of the United States retweeting someone that said the only good Democrat is a dead Democrat. I mean, that's insanity. You talking about being held liable for what you're posting to social media. That's basically the president of the United States endorsing murdering someone based upon their political affiliation.
What else can you say?
Anyway,
I don't know. I don't even know what to say that he's allowed to do this. Like he's allowed to do it. Like here's my thing about it. And I heard this before, and I believe it now. Like, just because something works doesn't mean it's as good as it can be, right? Like, anything can be better. And I think the problem with the conservatives, who are like these, constitutional conservatives, and we can never change it. And it's like we've changed it multiple times, you morons. Get with the program. It's called amendments. We change all the time. We can't change it, and we need machine guns and bazookas and all this stuff. And it's just like we need to be always trying to improve to be better. Like, I look at like parenting is like my prime example. Our parents, I'm sure they thought they were doing a good job. That's debatable. we do things much differently with our children than our parents did with us, who do things much differently than their parents did with them. There's no telling the horror stories of what happened when they were growing up, right? Like they're probably just getting the holy shit beat out of them every day, right? And now, I mean, as far as I know, like, you know, we're pretty, I don't know what you guys do, but I don't do corporal punishment anymore because I just see that it really makes no sense, you know? And I think it's the same way when we look at the country. We need to be evolving to what we are, not what we were. And the problem with Trump's message is make America great again just means let's get back to where we was, you know, like that's all it is. It's not science. It's not technology. It's not using your brain. It's let's look at the 1950s. Things were great for all us white men, parentheses. And let's go back to that, you know, and let's just, it's a question of, do you want all the money, all the power to do whatever you want with it? Or do you want everyone to all have the money and all have the power? I mean, that when you start talking broad ends of the political spectrum, that's kind of where we're at with it. And I'm at the point in my life now where if you tell me I got to pick one or the other, I mean, I'd pick the left. As crazy as that sounds, man, I just can't get behind these. They're all Trumps to me now. And I see it. And if I know people like Trump, even in my personal life, I'm like, my opinion's just it's kind of calmed down on them, you know? So,
yeah. And I mean, to your point too, like either extreme of the politics is, in my opinion, bad. Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like it's only because I mean, like when I see people talking about, oh, you got to punch a Nazi, it's like solving violence with violence is not an answer. Right. So that's why I like the word progressive. I think you hit the nail on the head on that. Don't make America great again. Take it to new heights. Take it to new places it's never been. And a large portion of that falls to us to make that happen. So I don't want to be called a liberal. I don't want to be called a Republican. I don't want to be called a Democrat. I don't want to be conservative. Call me a progressive, if anything, because I really believe, like you said, there is a better system. And the Constitution worked really well at the time that it was made, but it's probably time for an update. It's time to start talking about a new way. What that system looks like, I don't know. I'm not John Locke. I'm not going to write a book. I'm not going to write a manifesto that people around the world are going to read. But there's someone out there that's going to write it. At least I hope.
I hope. Well, yeah. I mean, it's almost like I look the same way. Like I love movies, and you look at the Oscars, and people always go, "Man, why do these stuffy movies always win the Oscars?" Well, because it's old white people voting for the movies, and until a number of those people are out, you're going to keep getting stuffy movies, as people call them. And same thing, as long as we have old white men running the political parts of the country, it's going to stay where it is. I know people don't want to hear that, but it's true, you know, and it sucks. So, I don't know.
Well, speaking of old problems, I mean, there's, this race thing's playing out again. There was another cop that killed a black man on the pavement, suffocated him out with his knee on his neck. Very tragic.
Yeah, George Floyd was murdered this week. He was murdered. Now, which is funny because actually, I mean, that's not funny, but it's ironic that the day before that, there was a big story about race. A woman in a park claimed this black man was attacking her and was trying to hurt her. And she called the police saying these things. And it turns out, no, it's all false. It was true. None of it was true. So she got fired from her job. And I could talk about that for a while, but like I said, the next day, George Floyd, who goes into a store with a $20 bill, cashier says it's counterfeit. I don't know what happened with that. He says it wasn't. They say it was. He says he didn't know it was. Police come out, which I figured, I didn't know that was really something, you went hard to the paint against, but anyway, they put him on the ground. Footage shows he wasn't really struggling at some point. The guy put his neck on his throat and murdered him. So the officers have been fired, and now they're looking at criminal charges, which I think will come by the end of the week for sure. This has led to looting and rioting at Target in Minnesota, where people are running around 50 to 60 people rushed into the store. They were grabbing items and running without paying. They were destroying items inside. A crowd gathered outside, chanted, "I can't breathe." And that's where we're at right now. We're back to where we've been before. We're back to where Colin Kaepernick said, I'm taking a knee until this stuff is addressed. I've always said, I mean, I don't know that stuff's ever going to go away, just because we could get into a whole history of police officers, but you're basically employing people that aren't the brightest in the world. I mean, I feel comfortable saying, I'm not saying all of them are dumb, but a lot of them don't have any college education. They train them for at best 6 months. Sometimes they train them for a couple of weeks at the state academy. Then they release them out onto the streets. A lot of them are kids that got bullied. They're people, they're racist. I worked the police department for 18 years. You want factual information, I'll give it to you. A lot of them, they're scumbags, just straight up. They were not good people. Okay. I mean, they weren't. And they go out and they enforce the laws. And let's be honest, unconscious or biased racism, it's a real thing. Okay. Whether people want to believe it or not. And they're out here. Why does that black guy have to die? I mean, why does anyone have to die? But black people know, why does it have to be them at a higher rate? This is the problem with people like Clay Travis come out and go, well, there's white people doing it too. Brother, yeah, we make up a larger percentage of the population, you moron. So yeah, there's obviously would be us happening too. There is less of them. 30% of the population is African-American, yet they make up about 70% of the prison population. That math doesn't add up. You tell me they're committing that many crimes of the entire country. It's asinine. But I'm going to leave back. So the looting and the rioting, which is what we're going to talk about a little bit. What do you guys think about it as a whole? Why people would do this?
John?
I mean, I don't agree with it. I can see that it gets attention, and that's what you want. You want attention brought to these situations, but there's just an underlying selfishness behind it that I can't seem to get over. That it seems like there's a selfishness behind the looting. Now, if they're going in and it's just damage and they're not stealing stuff and just taking it to their homes, that's a different thing. But a lot of people are it's stealing for a cause, and I don't agree with that. It would be awesome if there was a way, a platform where people could really get the message out without it being harmful or breaking laws. I mean, we knocked Colin Kaepernick for the whole knee thing, but it got attention. And so, I mean, why not something like that? But this is, I mean, it sucks that we're in a situation that people feel that they have to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make the great point that it does get attention, you know, and I guess that's what they're trying to do. I'm with you. I can never condone going into a store, you know, it's instilling items like, but then again, I'm a white male who has never been targeted by a police officer. Actually, every encounter I've ever had with the police has resulted in me getting no tickets, no fines, no nothing. Even in times where I've been wrong, straight up. I mean, straight up could have been issued.
They didn't murder you about strangulation?
Yeah, no, could have been arrested. John was with me. Could have been arrested straight up. If I'm black in those situations, that plays out a lot different. And then maybe I have this misplaced rage. But I think it's fair to say that you can say, hey, I know what they did to this black man on a pavement, basically suffocating him to death, is wrong. You know, I don't know how anyone can, well, there's race that justify, but a rational person can never justify that. But I think at the same time, you also go, well, I mean, is looting the best way to get your message across? I would disagree. But as John said, we're talking about it and everyone's talking about it and we're tying it back in to the death. So I don't know. What's your take on it?
I mean, it's super tragic. I don't think anyone is surprised when community outrage pours over into looting. It's a trend that has happened in this country every single time there's a community outrage, right? We see it time and time again. When there's an opportunity to loot, people are going to do it. It's not even a problem in this country. It's everywhere. Like natural disasters happen and there's people posted outside their house with guns saying looters will be shot on sight. So I don't even necessarily think that the looting is something that needs to even be addressed. I mean, it's just you accept it as part of a tragic situation. But for me, like in this particular instance, the cop I know had a history. He had evidently had killed a minority, a Native American, if I'm correct, with a gun previously. But even I don't even want to dwell on this guy. But is there a solution here? Are the people protesting? Are they looking for a solution? Are they looking for revenge? Are they just looking for justice in this one incident? Do we even know like what the outcome, the desired outcome is?
I mean, I feel often with these groups because when Occupy Nashville was here in Nashville, I went down there and I slowly learned. I was there every day talking to these people, getting to know them, trying to figure out what exactly the message was. And I often find that the people that should be delivering the message in those groups is never delivering the message. It's the people that shouldn't be delivering it are the people speaking in front, because most rational, logical people don't want a microphone in front of them. I'm not saying all, but a lot. There's a rare example like Martin Luther King, yes, obviously, but for every one of him, there's 10 others that probably preach things that aren't right, a Farrakhan or things like that. What I've read, and I've been reading a lot about it today, is that a lot of people want better standards for people becoming police officers. And I think that might start. It's the only rational way to start. I don't know what other solutions there could be. We're in the period now where everyone has a camera, body cam, phone cams. So now we're aware of this stuff. We're not stupid to sit here and go, oh, this has never happened until the cameras came around. No, this stuff was happening, but it was unfounded. When the police control the narrative, they control the story, they control the situation. And that's been the status quo for a long time. So we have to hire better. Now, how you do that, it's a crap job. It doesn't pay that well. You get burned out on it. The thing I fear is there are no answers. There are no solutions. Human nature is I can have 10 people in a room. 9 of them could be great people, stand-up people, one crazy person, one psychopath, one person who doesn't care about anything. The whole 10's ruined at that point because that one will systematically take advantage of everybody else there. How do you fix that?
And I think that's the point at the end of the day that I really would want to drive home with people, is that we need to look at this person as an individual. We don't need to look at it as, a white, black thing. And there's certainly some racial overtones. And if that individual is a racist, that is an issue. And that's the issue that needs to be reserved. But to look at one racist white cop and say all cops are racist, that's a slippery slope that's going to just build tension. If we look at a looter and go, that's an African-American looter, all looters are African-American looters, it's not a good way to address the issue. We have to look at the individual that's doing, understand them circumstances. And like you said, if it's just simply that they hired a crappy cop, then there's probably a lot of low-hanging fruit that we could address to fix that issue, right? Like, I'm sure there's probably, even in Nashville, I know for a long time, it was a good old boy network. Well, that's a step away from corruption. So if we know there's corruption in a government, then we got to go in and bust it up, And it's the same thing with cops. If we know that they're surrounded by their friends, but if there's a way we can identify that they're a racist, either through social media or, like you said, cameras are everywhere. If there's a pattern, if we can identify that, maybe find some way to weed out the racist from the group.
Well, I think a good point I had thought of this. We say one guy did it, but there were 3 other guys around him that didn't stop it. And that's the fear of people, that if you have 10 corrupt police officers in a police force, that means you have more than 10, because everybody knows those 10 are corrupt. And if you don't stand up and stop like that from happening, as we saw with the jogger that was killed, the guy that was following and then tried to stop him in his truck was charged with murder as well. I'm sure everyone's familiar with that story. If you are not out there stopping other corrupt, racist police officers, you're just you to blame at the end of the day. So that's the fear. So I don't know. Get on social media. You can hear a lot about it, but we don't have time to dwell on that all day. So Bad news, I guess space launch was canceled, so we'll probably talk about that more next week. Are either of you excited about this? Is Elon Musk is little baby, right? SpaceX?
Little baby?
Yeah, he's
like
Elon Musk is attached to it. It's like his they're going in space again. You guys are familiar with this, right? The space launch was supposed to be yesterday.
I've not been following.
I've heard about it. I just don't care.
Oh wow, you guys don't care about space.
What are they gonna do in space? They can put a satellite up. They do that all the time. It's not really that exciting.
Wow. So
it's gonna send a reusable.
People.
No, I'm a huge space guy, but what are we sending someone to the moon again? Or is he gonna put a Tesla in outer space again? Like it's not that how he's gonna flex his money?
No. It's not his whole thing. He's
ad?
working with NASA, I believe, to do it. So I guess he's. I don't, well, obviously, like I say, it got scrubbed for weather. Good call, because we all, as people of my age and our age, and we know what happens when you go up and you shouldn't, as the Challenger did. So, a lot of people said that shouldn't have happened, but we don't want a tragedy like that again. That is the worst case scenario. So I just said the historic first manned rocket launch from Elon Musk's SpaceX was scrubbed. So he'll get to try on Saturday.
Elon.
So, stay in line. All right. So we like to suggest movies, TV shows, anything we've been watching. And boy, have I got one for you guys to watch this week. And it will blow your mind. So I'm going to talk about a documentary. It's called Operation Odessa. Now, listen to this show called The Film Vault. Anderson Cowan's on there. And he always gives great movie recommendations. He talked about this documentary called Operation Odessa. This movie is set modern day, but it tells a story of a Russian guy named Tarzan. So already, check, you're in, And he looks like a Russian dude. He looks like Rusev a little bit. He kind of gives you that Rusev vibe. And he came to America, ended up affiliated with the mob, then went to Miami, bought a strip club called Porky's because... I'll go ahead and give you this little tidbit, because his favorite movie was Porky's, and it's where they filmed Porky's at. But it gets into how him and a few other guys ended up buying a lot of things from Russia, motorcycles, helicopters, and could they be successful in purchasing a submarine for the import of drugs for other countries? It is the things they do in this movie. You would imagine there's no way this is real. There is a dude in the documentary that's still on the run today, still wanted, murdered many people, admits this on camera. It is a fantastic watch. If you like documentaries and you like just larger than life characters, you like crazy stories, Operation Odessa it's on Netflix. Is it on Netflix? Let me make sure I'm telling you guys that right. It's on one of the streaming things. You definitely have to go watch it. It is a highly recommended watch. And documentaries are a good thing. Yeah, it's on Netflix. The good thing about documentaries, they're easy to get into, they're easy to watch, and it's rarely they're bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, I haven't watched many documentaries where I went, it was bad. It's like, it's always decent no matter what. But this is my big pick of the week, Operation Odessa. So that's mine. John, what you got?
Not a documentary, just a film. I am a big fan of writer Neil Gaiman, and I would like to throw up an adaptation of one of his short stories, Stardust. I really enjoy this movie. It's got it all. It's silly, it's action, it's got some romance in it too. It's good for everybody, boys, girls, everybody alike. It's a good watch.
John, I believe you I have it on DVD, and I believe you gave it to me or Casey. I don't know. Somehow we have this movie, and I believe you gave it to me. I watched it many years ago. It was enjoyable. It had, like I said, Robert De Niro in it. Quite the different role for him.
Yeah, very much so.
It was a different role, but he was good in it. Yeah, it's cool. I didn't know it was a Neil Gaiman thing. I mean, I'm sure I did. I'd forgotten, but yeah, he's a good writer. All right. So Stardust. Lee, you got anything you've been watching?
I don't really have anything, but I did want to give a shout out to you. On a previous segment, you had brought up the podcast that had the acid-induced cartoon doodling or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what that's called. Maybe you remember the name of it.
Oh man, he would put me on the spot.
Okay. Anyway, I was able
Grant.
to talk to someone about it. I had never seen it, but I was able to talk to them because you had described it to us. So kudos to you for just even keeping me up to snuff on the pop culture, just absorbing information through this podcast. Might be the first time it's ever happened. I don't know.
There you go. The Midnight Gospel.
The Midnight Gospel.
You guys need to watch it.
I do. Evidently, I do. Like they were interviewing that satanic guy that killed children or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy. In the last episode, it probably bring a tear to your eye. I mean, it's crazy, especially as you get older. Addressing death and parenting and all that. It's some deep stuff, but it's wacky. And if you're one who partakes, I would not partake because it's probably gonna be very hard to follow. I've heard if you partake and then you try to watch it, you may have to come back and rewatch it because there's too much going on. So, if you're getting high, there's certain shows you want to watch, and the more details are in the shows, the less fun it is. Okay, so I've heard it from a friend. So, all right, so there we go. So that is our recommendations of the week, and I guess that means it's time for Dear John. So Lee, hit the sound.
Dear John, dear John, by the time you read these lines, I'll be gone.
All right, so it's time for Dear John. Someone has written in with a question, concern, complaint, whatever it will be. Lee will read it, and then John will give us an answer. So go away.
This one comes in. Dear John, I'm the mother of 2 teenagers, ages 13 and 15. I'm trying to teach them to do chores and help around the house, but all I get is attitude from them. I try to explain that I didn't grow up with a dishwasher and I washed all the dishes by hand. Well, now that we have a dishwasher, they don't want to load or unload it either. I try not to spoil my kids, but I guess it's too late. Sometimes I get so frustrated that I just do the chores myself. What am I doing wrong as a parent? My kids are either on the iPhone or iPad or Xbox. They've had a better childhood than I ever had, but they don't understand. It's hurtful when the response is, let me live, or you don't understand anything, or I can't wait to get out of the house and get away from you. This is very hurtful, and I guess I just needed to vent to someone other than my husband. Thanks for letting me, from Stressed Out Mom.
Well, first of all, the first thing that you're doing is just letting them off the hook and doing the stuff yourself. If you put your foot down, you've got to make sure it stays that way. Otherwise, that's why they're walking all over you. You gave them an inch, they're taking a mile. And, that you kind of put yourself in a situation that it's going to be harder to dig yourself out of. What you really need to do is set up a series of consequences that will either reward or detract from their quality of life, whether or not they do those chores. If they don't do the chores, then they can't go out. They lose their phones. They lose these things that that's so precious to them. But if they do, maybe you're in a situation that you give them an allowance or whatever, and let them learn a responsibility that way. If they want money for something, don't give it to them unless they give you something. You're not getting paid at your job unless you work. So let them know what life is really like.
I thought for a minute I had written this in and forgot about it. And then at the end it said I talked to my husband. I don't have a husband last time I checked. So
maybe.
I would say person. This is as I talked about earlier in the show, parenting. I feel this is a complaint that most parents of this generation are going to have. In our generation, it would be beat their ass, whatever. And I think we're in a different era. I'm speaking for myself. I'm trying to install the knowledge of situations into my kids' heads. Do they doing chores? No. Do I understand their children? Yes. So, I try to work around that. Do my kids do chores, but do they do them regularly? No. Do I do the dishes a lot? Yes. And I look back and I try to remember how it was I was a kid, and I really didn't do any chores, just be honest. Our mom, mine and Lee's mom, pretty much did everything. Like I didn't do a load of laundry until I was probably 19, 20 years old. So that it is what it is. It didn't really affect my life. So you just got to pick your battles. Like, do you think this is really going to matter in 20 years is a rule I always follow in life. And I've told that to my wife and people I know. Look at a situation. Will it matter in 20 years? I mean, yeah, you're getting sick and tired of it. Then have your damn husband do it. Why are you doing all the chores? You know, this is 2020, baby. I mean, why are you attacking your kids for? I mean, make them, get the damn husband off the couch. I didn't hear him do anything in the situation. I mean, am I wrong about this? So, but yes, from the chat, taking away their electronics. If you really want to go, that's the way. That's hit them where it hurts. You know, but you take away their Xbox or their PlayStation.
Can't you kind of go overboard with that? Like if every kid in school has the access to the electronics, and you're the only parent that takes it away and only gives them a little bit here and there, isn't that kind of like detrimental to growing up? To your point, you said it best. I think they're kids. I understand that. You know,
well,
the comment is you don't understand anything. I mean, the kids, whether they're right or wrong, feel like their parents don't understand them. So is there actually a way we can try to understand our teenage children better? Or are they just full of it?
They're probably just full of it. I mean, they're teenagers. I went back this week and was reading some like old journals I had when I was like 17, 18, and I laughed at this absurdity of the things.
What were you saying in this?
I mean, I even was reading one where we went to the Green Day concert, and it's such just a comedy of errors. Me and Lee and Kenny went, but I mean, the point is, yeah, and me and my wife have had that conversation. Like, you know, if all their friends are on Fortnite, I mean, you gotta let them on Fortnite. I mean, like, I know you may not like it, but you understand you're socially ostracizing them. I'm sure there's people that are going to disagree with that, and some people don't let their kids have technology. But what is the end goal you're trying to accomplish? Are you really trying to get them to do chores because it's about a work ethic? Are you doing it because you don't want to do it? You know, that's really, and I know I'm a parent, I can do whatever I want, blah, blah. And you're right, you can, and they'll turn against you and hate you for their whole life. But I come back to, me and Lee didn't do any chores. We're good. I mean, whatever. But just, I guess, take away their stuff and make them earn it back. That's kind of what John said. So, I mean,
brother,
John,
to say we didn't do any chores is a joke.
So, I mean, I would agree with John. So, to wrap it up, what should this mother do?
I mean, yeah, just set up a series of checks and balances. If they want something, they got to earn it. You have to do the same. So, there you go.
I think that's good advice. So, Lee, sound it out. All right. So that was Dear John. If you want to be part of Dear John, go to our website, bybpod.com, and there's an email form on there. Or, hey, you can send us an actual email, bybpod@gmail.com, and we'll try to help you out. And we've done that for people, and sometimes they like it, sometimes they don't. So there we go. All right. So I guess we kind of hit on all of our points here, you know, Trump. And then we talked a little bit about racial tension in America, which it's just, it's tough, man. They're not all lighthearted and comedic. You know?
What'd you learn today, David?
I learned that Trump I should not call Trump Bozo the Clown, because that's an insult to Bozo the Clown. That's what I learned.
What'd you learn, John?
Never insult Bozo.
Okay. Well, I learned I never did chores as a child. Okay.
Did you do chores as a child?
I mean, we were slave labor, bro. They had us working the paint.
That is a point. I mean, you guys were painting apartments.
That ain't chores.
2 or 3 ever. That's worse than chores.
We didn't do
Did
laundry.
you get paid?
Yeah, we got like $5 an apartment.
Oh, yeah, that's not paid.
I tell my kids all about it, but no, but we did not do laundry. We did not do dishes. 100%. I know that for certain. Because like I said, when I moved in with John, that's the first time I ever did laundry in my life, bro. I mean, like, I was like, I don't know. What are you going to do? But hey, you can listen to all of our past episodes and see if that historically checks out or not. And you do that by going to the website, bybpod.com. That is bybpod.com. Once you go there, you'll see all of our past episodes. You'll see our writer for the site, Adam Cox, who is, according to IMDb, a movie critic as well, because he does review movies. So, no big deal. If you want to be a movie critic, you can write for us as well. We always accept writers, so if you're looking to do that. But you go to the website, and all of our past episodes are there. All of our social media links are there. So if you want to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, please do that. Ways to grab the podcast, rate, review, subscribe, all those fun things. And like I said, we still got the shirts. I know a lot of people ordered them and haven't gotten them yet. I just got a shirt that I ordered from another podcast today. Joke's on you, Teespring. You already gave me the refund. So I got the shirt and the refund, but I got it like 3 months after I ordered it. So just be patient. That's all I can tell you. I wish I had a better answer, but unfortunately I don't. You can also contact us there. There's an email box, and just check everything out. Go check it out. There's an Amazon link if you're buying things through Amazon. And just in these times, hopefully we're keeping you entertained. So with all that being said, Lee, is there anything else?
Don't blame yourself when you can blame your brother.
I'm Donald